Hello again. This section's on ISO 56000. This is the Innovation Management Standard. And you already know me, but I'd like to let you know that I'm the Secretariat for ISO 279, the Innovation Management System tag representing the United States. Also in this presentation is Frank Voll, who's the chair of the ISO tag for the United States, as well as Rick Fernandez, who's the vice chair. So ISO 56000 was developed because of an innovation, the innovation challenges that we see on a regular basis. If you've been doing innovation for a while, you'll note that innovation can be complicated, far more than you imagined it to be in the beginning. And what this means is that launching and developing an innovation program involves a complex set of interacting leadership and organizational practices. I like to say that when you're doing ISO 9000, which is quality, you're only dealing with inside your organization, which means I use the example that you can compare it to cooking for your family in your own kitchen. Everybody knows what time you eat. Everything's set at the same time. All the food is made the same way. But innovation is more like running a restaurant where you have different customers coming in at different times, wanting things in different ways. So it's way more complicated to do that. Organizations also lack benchmarks against which to compare the quality and features of their innovation management system. In particular, there are 100 ways to do innovation, and every company has many different ways that they can approach it. By having a basic innovation management system, now we know at least the backbone of the system and how to make it operate when you're doing innovation. And then strategy to action execution is one of the biggest issues facing businesses today. What that means is that basically we've got an innovation strategy, but actually making it work is not nearly as easy as it sounds. And if you've done innovation, you already know this. So think about innovation management system as an operating system on a phone. What an operating system allows you to do is install a lot of apps. Now, the apps that I have on my smartphone might not be the apps that you have on your smartphone because there are different things that are important to me than someone else. So if you think about your business, if you're in a catering business versus, say, a steel manufacturing business, the things that you want to do in innovation and the overlays that you want to do are going to be different. The innovation management system allows you to have that operating system or that backbone that you can then put your own innovation tools on top of. And innovation, or ISO 56000, is also about managing the expectations and outcome gaps. As you can see on the slide, a survey in 2010 by McKinsey said that 84% of global executives say innovation is extremely important, but 94% are dissatisfied with their innovation performance. Now, I realize this is from 2010, and you heard from Jackie Finn earlier, but I don't think that this has changed much. As I travel around the world and work with association members and member companies, I hear the same thing. We've got a program, it's really important that we do innovation, but we can't seem to really get out of it what we hope to get out of it. Once again, going back, it's more complicated than many people think. You can't just say, give me an innovation program tomorrow, because you got to consider the tools, the techniques, the methodologies you're going to use, and the culture you have to deal with within your own organization. So what we see is a new profession rising, and this is one of the reasons that the IOIP was formed. Back in the 50s, we had project management was the thing that everyone had to learn and be certified in and basically take advantage of. In the 80s, we saw a move to quality management. We got a hold of our projects. We were able to do them correctly and do them effectively, but now we needed to start worrying about quality management. We've generally gotten a hold of quality management now, and innovation management is in the ascension. And like I said, the ISO 9000 dealt with quality management. The ISO 56002 is going to deal with innovation management. So there is confusion about innovation. A lot of people think that innovation and being innovative, having a good idea, is purely luck, and they couldn't be more wrong. Of course, there's always some luck involved, but we like to use the word insight in innovation. You have to have insight, and insight means that you have some background, you know the business, you know the customer. In particular, the customer is very important. So if it's luck, and many people think it is luck, then how can you formally manage it? And that's what we hear a lot as we started the association several years ago is, well, you can't put standards around innovation because it's all luck. It's all, coming up with a great idea, walking into your garage at the right time and seeing something on the floor and saying, hey, I've got a great idea. But if you're a company and you want to formally do innovation, that doesn't just quite work, because what are you going to do? Put 100 people in an office and hope that one of them gets a good idea? You've got to have an innovation management system. So what is it and how can it help my company to be resilient? And this is particularly important in the military, since we're talking about military aviation today, is things change and they change quickly. And one of the things the military has to be able to do is be resilient and be able to come up with new ideas, innovative ideas quickly, sometimes in the field, which means you may not even have that garage to work in. So why manage innovation? Well, I hope you can see this slide well, but global competition and consumer demand require organizations to innovate regularly. In particularly, we've seen this during this COVID crisis, is how quickly some companies have risen up. Look at Zoom. No one was using Zoom, or few people were using Zoom. I know that Rick, your next speaker, was using Zoom, but there wasn't many people using it. Now Zoom is maybe the most important platform that people are using to collaborate. And a multiplicity of information requires organizations to make choices to set up effective monitoring activities. So we've got to figure out how we're going to monitor it and what choices we're going to make. Also, the pace of technological change and the emergence of new entrants in all sectors constantly challenge the existing players. We all know the statistic, and I can't remember it exactly off the top of my head, but 100 years ago, if you took the Fortune 500, almost none of those companies exist anymore. And we see an accelerated life cycle in all companies now. If you don't innovate and you don't keep up, then it's likely your company's going to fail. And innovation doesn't concern only products or processes resulting from R&D, research and development. It's multiple effects of all parts of the organization. So just like when you're looking at something like a Six Sigma, for those of you that are familiar with Six Sigma, you need the whole organization to be involved. You need all of them to be thinking about innovation, and you need a culture to be effective in that space. And innovation doesn't only require technical mastery, but also business development, new business models, marketing, commercial, legal know-how. And finally, regions and countries need to establish collaborative innovation ecosystems. So when you hear about open innovation, that's what you're talking about. So this slide in particular is really illustrative of how complicated innovation management system would be and why it's important to basically develop it and adopt the ISO 56000 standard.
Hi, I'm Frank Vole, and I'm the administrator for the U.S. TAG TC 279 for Innovation Management. I'm also a board member of IAOIP. I'd like to share with you some of the potential benefits for innovation management and business resilience. They can be really categorized into three categories: hard benefits, soft benefits, and intangibles. And one of the biggest benefits is the ability to manage uncertainty. In these uncertain times, the innovation management standards give us that ability to navigate through uncertainty, and also helping us grow the business, grow our revenues, our profitabilities, where it's needed, competitiveness. The common understanding and the common language across the organization is a tremendous benefit that most CEOs tell us. It gives everybody a common language with which to speak, and the shorthand language. Reducing cost and waste and increasing productivity is also a big benefit, as well as resource efficiency. Helps us to be more efficient and effective. Improving sustainability and resilience. That's also huge, especially bouncing back in these turbulent times and giving us that strong backbone and that resilience, that business resilience. And the next benefit is increasing the satisfaction of both the users, the customers, especially of our citizens. We found that to be a big benefit, and other interested stakeholders and parties. Okay, along with those first six potential benefits, we also have the huge portfolio of offerings that many organizations have, and helping us to renew that portfolio and sustaining the renewal. Empowering the people in the organization. Empowerment is a buzzword, but with innovation management, we have found that it's a real word, because by engaging the workforce and giving them a focus, they truly become empowered. Increasing the ability to attract partners. One of the standards of ISO 56000, 56003 is innovation management partnerships. And that standard can help us build partners and collaborators throughout the extended enterprise. Enhancing our reputation, especially of government agencies, of the Naval Aviation Agency, valuation of the organization. That's huge. Improving the ability to understand the other organization's ability to innovate. How can we understand our suppliers' ability to innovate? How can we understand our distributors' ability to innovate? This helps us do that. Facilitating compliance with regulations, especially the government regulations as they continue to change, and the relevant requirements. That's a biggie. So we have these 12 benefits that are common to almost every type of organization. Okay, so what are the themes that shape this post-recovery efforts as we're hoping that we will be in very, very soon? Well, there's 5 themes that accompany the bounce back. One is the organizational resilience, and both ISO 56002 as well as 22301 help us with the business resiliency and the bounce back factor. Supply chain optimization. How can we look across the entire supply chain in a transparent way and look where the supply chain needs to be tweaked, where it needs to be optimized? By adding to one piece, we can subtract from another piece and overall reduce the cost of the supply chain as well as improve its efficiency. The future work design. We're convinced that this will account for generations to come for the innovation management work designs as we incorporate it into the 9 different standards and substandards into the process. And then reimagining a climate for change. So how can we look around the corner? How can we see change coming before it is actually here? How can we visualize it? Well, innovation management helps us to do that and creates a climate for sustainable advantage. Okay, so organizations that excel at execution, our studies have shown, are more robust and favorably positioned to respond to rapid changes in the marketplace. So the better we are at especially agile execution, the ability to pivot, the ability to change, creates a more robust position for us and makes us able to respond rapidly to changes. That's what both ISO 56002 does, as well as ISO 22301, business continuity and resilience management. Okay, so the innovation super system, as we like to call it, is really more than a management system. It's 3 systems in one. It's a social system, it's a technical system, and it's a management system. The management system is ISO 56000 and all of its 9 standards, of which 4 have been released so far and 5 are on the drawing boards or will be on the drawing boards in the next 6 months. Okay, so the management system is the fundamental bedrock of it. The technical system are the tools and techniques. There's literally dozens and hundreds of tools that come together with this. The management systems help us pick and choose those tools that the disciplines are needed to support the management system. And then the social system, the culture, putting the right people in the right places and demonstrating innovation know-how and the innovation execution culture. How can we do rapid execution and make it stick? That's the big thing about the social system, which is almost always missing in most innovation systems. The social system is rarely, the culture is rarely ever integrated with the management system and the technical system in a cohesive way. When we say the systems, we're talking about really four fundamental bedrock type of systems, starting with ISO 9000, which is the quality management system. Began about 30 years ago. Okay, it was originally called BS 5750, and then it became known as ISO 9000, 9001, 2, 3, and 4. And that became the fundamental building block, okay? ISO 14000, environmental management, followed. And then ISO 56002, 56002, innovation management, just had been released about a year and a half ago. And then ISO 22301, while it's been around for about 8 years, the newest version of it, 22301 2019, gives us this high level structure. All four of these management systems have a common high level structure. And that allows organizations to snap in different pieces of these management systems in a systematic way, starting with 9001, and then whatever direction that the organization chooses to go, it has this common framework.
Okay, hi, this is Rick Fernandez. I'm the vice chair for the US team, the tag TC279, which is developing the ISO 56000 standard series. Frank was just talking about the different standards and how they work together. But let's delve a little bit into the 56002. 56002 actually starts with intent, and with intent, you can develop you can basically focus the efforts of your innovation management system into those things that directly tie into the context of the organization and to the leadership, because you got to understand where it is that you want that innovation. Do you need innovation in the timing of the services that you have? Do you need new services that aren't properly being provided? Do you need to reach different audiences or different markets that you're not reaching today? So you develop an intent, and you help people develop opportunities. Those opportunities then can be numerous opportunities. It can be 1,000 opportunities, ideas, right? And then they get created into a concept. They get grouped into ideas or logical ideas. They get validated, they get developed. And then actually at the validation stage, you're going to determine which one of them you're going to take from your portfolio of ideas and innovation projects and actually put them forth into development and into deployment of the solutions. All intending to create value for your organization, and all of your ecosystem, your customers especially. So this really is the operations part of the innovation management system. But for it to work properly, you have to understand the context of the organization. You got to understand what the vision, the strategy is, and then you have a constant improvement process with a plan, do, check, act here at the bottom, with the support of competencies of the people and so forth. So this becomes your integrated management system for innovation. And what are some of the innovation management principles? First and foremost is that for it to be an innovation, it has to create value. So value, what is value? Value is something new, something that a customer or somebody in the ecosystem will realize that they can use better than what is there today. It's also, you got to have future focused leaders. You can't have leaders that are only looking at today. You got to look into the future so that you can take risks. You got to manage risks. You have to have a strategic direction. The strategic direction is going to help you determine the intent of the innovations that you're going to have. You got to have an innovation culture. It builds a foundation on top of which you can build your management system. Without that innovation culture, you really can't, it won't stay for a while. Okay, it won't be long lasting. You got to exploit your insights. You got to understand what it is that you're developing and understand how it fits in within the strategy of your organization and within the customer needs. You got to manage uncertainty. You got to manage risk. One of the problems that we have today is that we have the innovator's dilemma. One of the early authors of innovation, Christensen, he talked about the fact that in many of our business schools, we're taught not to take risks. We take risks only when we can be sure that we have a return on investment. Well, if you're not willing to take risks and manage that risk, you're really not going to be very innovative. You're going to be very good at continuously improving, but you're not going to be able to innovate correctly. So you got to be adaptable. Frank and Brett already talked about that. And mostly you have to have a systems approach. It's with that systems approach that you can assure that you're going to have a good result at the end. This slide here tries to show you quickly the breadth of the innovation management system standards that are related to each other. You have work group 1, which basically developed the 56,000 standard. You have 56,000, which has to do with terminology. Now there's a new work item being worked on for layman's terms for those terms, something more understandable. Frank mentioned 56,003 and the innovation partnerships, very important if you're going to have open innovation. 50,006 for strategic intelligence, for decision-making at a strategic level for innovation. You have intellectual property, crucial management of innovation property, intellectual property. Currently in process, idea management and innovation operational measurements, which is one of the ones that I'm co-leading at the international level. And lastly, we did develop the 56,002 for innovation assessment as a technical report. Finally, as key features of this innovation management system is your focus on value, your innovation vision and strategy, your culture, your collaboration, not just internally, not just from team to team, not just from department to department, function to function, but also with those people outside your organization, like your suppliers, like even your customer themselves, to help you innovate. Management of intellectual property, your strategic intelligence, your innovation portfolios, and lastly, your innovation metrics. This leads us to execution. Execution, action to execution. Frank started talking about the super system and how there was a need to have those systems work together. Well, this is one way that you can do that, and that is everything going back to your strategy and your deployment of your strategy into making people accountable for that strategy, having dashboards and having ways to know how well you're doing, having people commit, having action plan commitment records, and going back and seeing, okay, well, you committed to doing this and you committed to making a change in a KPI with certain activities. Well, how well did you do? How well did you do here? Well, that's asked here in performance evaluation. This becomes a circular management system which supports your innovation processes. Next, you have, as a part of your foundation, you have the commitment of the people, the capability of the people, as well as the tools and methods. So first of all, you got to make sure that you have your capital development taken care of. People know what they need to do. They need to understand how to be innovative. You got to have an organizational culture that promotes innovation. And then very, very important is having the innovation management planning and tools available to them so that they know which ones to use. It's like a doctor with their medical bag, that they go with some of the tools inside their bag and they know which one to bring out and which one to use at a certain time. And lastly, you have the more detailed version, which is basically your behavioral competencies, your technical competencies, your innovation profilers, which basically tell you out of 8 different competencies that there are for innovation, which ones are you good at, which ones are you not that good at, how do you improve that, and how do you make that better, not only for you as an individual, but for you as part of a team. So for example, two or three people might be looked at in terms of an innovation profile, and out of the 3, only 2 of them are good at 4 out of the 8 competencies, but the others are good at the other 4. So you can put them together and you have now a very complete innovation team. You look at a gap analysis, action plans, sentiment analysis for your culture, an innovation culture, expectation, training, and so forth, and being able to correlate the initiatives that you have, the actions that you have with the KPI impact. Lastly, you want to have the tools, idea management tools, innovation project management tools, knowledge management tools, measurement tools, and of course, the management system itself. With that, I leave you with the fact, you know, of who we are, the fact that you have the three of us available to you at any time. Just you can get a hold of us through ioip.org, and I know Brett, Frank, myself, we're here to help you any way that we can. Hopefully you'll understand the value of an innovation management system and how this new standard 56002 can help your organization become the vanguard of all of them in the world as it is today and will be in the future. Also, the standards, the 56000 series standards, are all available in the ioip.org website for your purchase. Thank you.